Welcome to an episode of Barman Saturdays, and it's time to take a look at Werewolves of the Third Reich. And I'll admit, I'm struggling to find a way to talk about this quickly and coherently. Like, I want to jump around to various topics. I guess that's why writing a script's usually a good idea. But I tend to do these, on the cuff, and I don't even bother writing down notes, so I can try and put myself in a somewhat organized fashion. But I guess we'll start with the story. The story is told very poorly. They have very bad transitions too, where they're like, oh, chapter 1, and then scroll out a title for it, or chapter 2, and just then you go into the action, so it feels like a play or something, with the way they're doing it, which was not a good idea. Like, you need to do some better transition swipes or something, when you're doing this. They also, have a lot of scenes in this film that seem to exist for no purpose. The fact they point this out isn't that amusing to me.
What are you doing? Been much quicker if you just let me do that in the first place.
It just means they've admitted they've wasted my time in a ton of places, which isn't funny. I'm like, my time is valuable, okay? I've only got so much time I can spend working on this stuff, for YouTube while working a full-time job and sometimes having to be a pet babysitter, okay? So don't waste my time with pointless scenes. I mean, probably one of the most pointless is the first, 15 minutes or so where they do an opening scene in the bar to introduce, Mad Dog Murphy, a man obsessed with killing Nazis. He's just a kill-crazy SOB that doesn't obey any of the rules. He's like, I was put onto this earth to kill Nazis. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and I'm glad God gave them to me.
Sure, I fly the American flag, I wear the American uniform. But the real reason I came here is for one reason and one reason only. To kill Nazis.
Like, his character's not deep, it's not interesting, and they could have established this, with when they were going towards the concentration camp, where he's just like, I exist to kill Nazis. I'm like, okay, do we have to spend 15 minutes on just how obsessed you were at the start of the film? Like, you could just have that one scene. I would yeah, I know what his character is. It's not a character. It's a two-dimensional, cutout of what a person should be. Thanks, movie. And that's the problem with basically all the characters in this movie. They don't feel like characters. Not in a meaningful sense. They all feel like, cutouts. They're meant to, fit somewhere into a puzzle. But they weren't, cut properly, so the puzzle doesn't fit together. So that's the problem with the story. It doesn't feel connected together properly. Add in all the wasted time with pointless scenes and stuff, and you're left with a movie that needs to be both chopped and expanded upon, in various ways to, become something that'd be more cohesive and understandable. I can follow the individual pieces, but I don't know how you connected them together to get where you ended up, basically. Another problem is that the special effects are bad, but not laughably bad. I mean, they're terrible by 2017 standards. You'd expect better, but if you're gonna go for making me laugh at, the bad blood sprays, you should go so over the top with it that it becomes funny just because of the sheer ridiculousness of it. Like, someone takes a shot to the head and all of a sudden just gallons upon gallons of blood just goes spraying out the back of their head and from their forehead or something, just everywhere. And then there's effects they should have done, but they didn't bother with. Like, one of the characters gets bitten by the male werewolf, and he's biting into, his arm holding his gun, so he can't shoot him with his other hand. And we don't see any marks on his arm later, when he gets saved by one of the other characters, because he shoots the werewolf in the head. Instead, you're just like, just to pretend there's injuries there, I guess. Like this movie just, they can't afford special effects they need, and they can't do the special effects in a way that's so crazy or over the top it's amusing either. Like, the funnest part of this movie is when they're ripping off Full Metal Jacket.
We're trying to turn you into a weapon, a minister of death. You should be fucking praying for war. Without war, you have nothing to offer. You're puke. You're scum. You're not even human. Do you understand that?
No, seriously, they just straight up rip off Full Metal Jacket. They also add some of their own words into, some parts of the drill sergeant's speech. Though why there's a drill sergeant, on the front lines of a war, I have no idea, because that's not a place for a drill sergeant, in my opinion. I assume most of them would be on, a training camp base, somewhere. Not on the front lines telling men what to do. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but it definitely seems, like that speech would be far better, in a training camp when they're doing the Full Metal Jacket ripoff scene. Like, jeez. And yeah, the effects for the werewolves is just a mask. It's not even a good mask. So, yeah, this box might look promising, but basically none of the images, on this box are of people in this movie. So, yeah, just don't watch this. It won't satisfy you, if you're looking for some Nazi action. It's not going to satisfy you if you're looking for some werewolf action. You can argue Mad Dog Murphy is far more terrifying than the werewolves, just because how obsessed he is with killing people.
A shit-shoveling farmer who has been on your mind for 30 years. I can only begin to imagine how troubling that must have been for you.
I just don't like loose ends now.
And you're hoping to finally tie this one up?
You looking for this? Yeah. I also got the one in your shit house. I got the one from under your bed, too. I figure you quite a paranoid guy, Doc. But I guess looking over your shoulder for the past 30 years is gonna do that to a man. I can only imagine just how troubling that must be. I got the one from under your pillow, too, shitface.
You can kill me, but I will still be alive inside your head. You can't wipe away 30 years with one pull of the trigger.
Guess I'm gonna have to pull it more than once, then.